What's up guys, Alvaro here. Welcome to the Bilingual Stock Market channel again. On this channel we talk about the markets and we do it in English and Spanish as well, so you can pick your preferred language. And in this video, and as I do it Mondays through Thursdays, I want to make a quick stock market update, so I want to break down some technicals going over the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100, which are the most important indices of the United States stock market. And at the end of the video, I am going to be breaking down from a technical standpoint three stocks that in tomorrow's trading session are going to be on the very top of my personal watch list. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. And today at last guys, we had the CPI data coming out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it came out exactly as expected. We saw an increase in inflation terms of 0.5% during the month of July. However, and you guys know that in my case, I was expecting a worse than expected CPI data coming out today. I was thinking about 0.8%, 0.9%. I was a bit pessimistic, and we saw some noticeable improvements in regard to certain categories. So fruits and vegetables went down 0.9%, used cars and trucks went up 0.2%. However guys, this category went up during the month of June 10.5%. So we clearly saw an improvement when it comes to used cars and trucks, and clothing remained unchanged. Something that is also worth pointing out about what happened today in the markets is that today at around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we had the president of the Federal Reserve of Dallas, Mr. Robert Kaplan, or Kaplan, I might be butchering his last name. So this guy said that he expects the Federal Reserve to start tapering in October, and he also believed that the process of tapering is going to last 8 months. So the markets are trying to figure out like what is going on here. So is inflation going to be transitory? Is it here to stay? Is it going to get worse? Is the Federal Reserve actually going to start tapering anytime soon? Is it positive for the economy that the Federal Reserve starts to taper when we know that at some point in time we are going to have $1 trillion that are going to come out from the new infrastructure bill being poured into the economy? So we have a lot of factors, that are kind of giving the market a hard time. And on top of that, usually the month of August is a month in which the markets don't do much. And as a consequence, since we still have inflation fears and we have some uncertainty because we don't know if the Federal Reserve is going to start tapering anytime soon, so the markets pretty much today backed value stocks, guys. The best performing sectors were materials, industrials, and financials. And in the case of materials and industrials, we can make the case that these two sectors are going to benefit a lot from the new infrastructure bill. And the worst performing sector was the tech sector and healthcare. Yeah, actually healthcare was the worst performing sector, and the tech sector also went down. It actually closed today's trading session flat, up 0.01%. However, the Nasdaq and the Nasdaq 100 went down today. Nasdaq went down 0.16%, Russell went up 0.49%, Dow Jones went up 0.62%, and actually the Dow Jones reached a new all-time high in today's trading session, and the S&P 500 went up 0.25%, and this index also reached a new all-time high in today's trading session. And mind you guys, I was doing some math, and so far during this earnings season, 80% of the companies that have reported earnings have beat on earnings, and 20% of the companies have raised guidance. So we have had very good news in terms of earnings, and I think I believe that if the Fed happens to start tapering in October, that is going to be beneficial for the economy. Because, as I just said, we know that at some point in time, I don't know how soon that can happen, but at some point the the new infrastructure bill is going to be passed in the House, and we're going to have $1 more trillion coming out into the economy. And if we take a look at the S&P 500, and if we take a look at what happened today in the most important index of the world. So as I just said, the S&P 500 reached a new all-time high today at 4,449 points, and it went up 0.25%. If we take a look at the relative strength index of the S&P, we can see that it is at 65 points. It is a bit elevated, nothing really to be worried about. Let's not forget that we have already seen the S&P 500 before, trading with its relative strength index at almost 85 points. So I'm going to zoom in here on the 4-hour chart, and since we closed, this was a record close by the way, at 44.47. In terms of resistance for tomorrow's trading session, we are pretty much looking at 44.49, guys, the new all-time high. We are once again at no man's land. And in terms of support, and since we don't have any other sensitive economic data coming out, tomorrow we have jobless claims, but the markets are kind of already desensitized when it comes to jobless claims. So if tomorrow the S&P happens to take a rest, I am going to be looking at 44.24. A previous area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of the S&P failed in recent days on 1, 2, 3, and 4 occasions. But other than that, there's nothing really new to say in regard to the S&P 500. We are still in a clear uptrend, and we are trading above the moving averages. And the financial sector was one of the best performing sectors inside the S&P. Because we have inflation fears, and if inflation happens to get out of control, we know that the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates, and that is going to be very beneficial for the financial sector. So as long as the financial sector keeps on going up, guys, even though the tech sector is or could be potentially retracing or pulling back, we are going to see the S&P 500 probably trading above 4,400 or 4,420 approximately. And in the case of the Nasdaq 100, this index went down today. However, guys, the bulls of the Nasdaq 100 managed to hold a very important area of lower support that I have already told you guys plenty of times about here on the channel, 15,000 points. So let me zoom in here on the 4-hour chart, and I gotta pull up the 1 day, 1 minute, I think. So take a look at this, guys. This was an epic battle today in the Nasdaq 100 between bears and bulls, between 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and until 1 p.m. approximately. Because 15,000 points is a very important area of lower support for the Nasdaq 100, and we had an amazing, as I just said, battle between the bears and the bulls managed to, make the most out of that battle, and the Nasdaq 100 closed above 15,000 points. That is bullish in and of itself, because that implies that this index could manage to hold as a lower support the low point of yesterday's trading session. This is bullish, no doubt about it. So let me pull up here once again the 4-hour chart, and when we take a look at the 4-hour chart, guys, the first thing that I want to point out is the relative strength index of the NDX. It is at 45 points, very healthy from a technical standpoint. So we could potentially be about to see a process of consolidation slightly above 15,000 points. And as I said last week, that is going to be very positive, because that is going to let the bulls of the Nasdaq 100 to gather momentum in order to eventually take on all-time high in the Nasdaq 100 near or at 15,184 points, without the Nasdaq 100 being in an overbacked condition. And take a look at this technical detail, and this is something that I actually pointed out in yesterday's video, when the bulls managed to hold the lower support of 15,000 points, at the same time they were holding this 50 SMA on the 4-hour chart. This is bullish in and of itself, no doubt about it. So let's see what happens in the upcoming days. As I just told you guys, August is typically a shoppy month. It is a summer, month in which the markets don't do much, in which the markets trade on low volume. So we might see the Nasdaq trading sideways for the rest of the month without doing much, and that from a technical standpoint is nothing but a consolidation process slightly above important areas of lower support, and that is going to let the bulls sooner rather than later take on all-time high without this index being in an overbacked condition. So nothing wrong with this tape. We are still on a clear uptrend, and we are trading above the moving averages. So the Nasdaq 100, despite the fact that this index went down today 0.17%, it is still looking bullish, no doubt about it. And now let's go ahead and take a look at good old NIO. And I think that NIO is reporting earnings, but I don't know, guys, if NIO reports at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or if I don't think that NIO already reported earnings. No, not yet. So I think that NIO reports at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or something like that, but so far, this Chinese company hasn't reported earnings. So what could potentially happen tomorrow? So if we happen to see a drop, and mind you guys, and I said this in the video that we posted on last Sunday, I truly believe that NIO is going to crush on earnings. I am absolutely convinced about that. I could be mistaken, obviously, because I don't have the crystal ball. But I think that NIO is going to cross on earnings, but you guys already know that the average reaction of the markets during this earnings season has been to the downside. So if tomorrow the reaction happens to be negative, and if NIO happens to break an important area of lower support at around $42.50, then the next important area of lower support, and in which the bulls of NIO are likely to find support at, is going to be near $40. $40 is a previous area of lower support in which the bulls of NIO already found support back on July 27th, and they also found support back on December 14th and also back on December 2nd. So if NIO happens to pay a visit tomorrow on a negative reaction of the markets because of their earnings, I am going to be very willing, guys, to pick up some shares of NIO at $38.50 or $39. If I happen to start a trade on NIO near, as I just said, $38.50 or $39, then my price target is going to be the next important area of overhead resistance from $38.50 or $39 near $42.70. $42.70 is a previous area of lower support that already acted as such for NIO on 1, 2, and 3 opportunities before, but we are also talking about a previous area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of NIO felt back on March 31st, and they also felt back on April 26th. So if I were able to take a trade like this, purchasing shares of NIO near $38.50 and selling out of those shares near $42.50 or $43, I could be potentially locking in a profit of 9%. And mind you guys, and I don't think that this is a likely scenario, because as I just said, the average reaction during this earnings season has been to the downside. But if NIO happens to post mind-blowing earnings later on today, then watch out tomorrow for NIO bursting above the next important area of overhead resistance near $47. $47 is a previous area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of NIO already failed on 1, 2, 3, and 4 occasions before. So if the bulls of NIO happen to be able to take on this area of overhead resistance near $47, they could be potentially filling the gap up to the next important area of resistance near $51. $51 is a previous area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of NIO already felt back on February 3rd, and this is also a previous area of lower support that already acted acted as such for the stock of this company back on January 1st. So NEO looks very but very interesting from a technical standpoint, either going up or going down after having reported earnings later on today. And by the way, and I forgot to tell you this before, guys, NEO went down today 0.57% and it closed today's trading session at $43.97. And Sofi is also reporting earnings, but tomorrow after close, and this is going to be a very interesting earnings report, guys, because this company has been able to grow its revenue on a constant basis. So tomorrow, and as soon as this earnings report comes out, I am going to take a look at the revenue of Sofi. I am a bull of this company. I think that this company is going to do very but very well at a long term. So let's see what the revenue of Sofi looks like during the second quarter of this year. And when it comes to taking a trade on Sofi tomorrow, I am going to keep a close watch on $16. And by the way, guys, Sofi went down today 0.53% and it closed today's trading session at $16.90. So if tomorrow, guys, and as I just said, Sofi pays a visit to $16, which is a previous area of lower support that already acted as such for the stock of this company back on March 30th. And we are also talking about a former area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of Sofi already failed back on July 29th. I am going to be picking up 100 shares of Sofi, in which case my price target is going to be the next important area of overhead resistance near $17.80. $17.80 is a previous area of lower support that already acted as such for the stock of this company back on June 28th, but we are also talking about a former area of lower support in which the bulls of Sofi found support back on February 25th, and we are also talking about a former area of overhead resistance in which this stock failed back on April 28th, and it also failed back on May 10th. So if I happen to be able to take this trade the way that I am describing it, purchasing shares at $16 and selling out of those shares near $17.60, I could be potentially locking in a profit of almost 10%. And mind you, guys, if I wanted to set a, let's say, more ambitious price target, what about Sofi killing on earnings tomorrow and bursting above this resistance that I just told you about near $17.60 and maybe filling the gap up to the other important area of overhead resistance near $21? That would imply a profit of almost 26%. And in the case of the other area of overhead resistance near $21.70, that's an area in which the bulls of Sofi already failed back on May 25th, and they also failed back on February 24th. So watch out for Sofi tomorrow, potentially paying a visit to $16 per share approximately, or $16.10, finding a good support over there and then bouncing back up. And the last stock of this video is another stock that is reporting earnings tomorrow, or is the stock of a company that is also reporting earnings tomorrow, Sundial Growers. Oh man, the stock of this company has been a total mess lately, guys. Sundial hasn't done anything since late March, so I am actually thinking about taking a fund trade into earnings, because Sundial is trading as of now at 80 cents. Sundial went down today 1.02% and it closed today's trading session at 80 cents. So if tomorrow Sundial happens to visit a former area of lower support near 77 cents, that's a price in which I am going to be willing to pick up 600 or 700 shares of Sundial, as a fund trade, as I just said, into earnings. 77 cents is a previous area of lower support that already acted as such for the stock of this company in recent days on 1, 2, 3, and 4 occasions. So if I pick up some shares of Sundial near 77 cents, then my price target is going to be the next important area of overhead resistance near 88 cents. 88 cents is a previous area of support and resistance that is coinciding on the 4-hour chart with the 180 SMA. So 88 cents is an area in which the bulls of Sundial already felt back on July 28th, and they also, or this area also acted as a lower support back in late June. So if I were able to take this trade the way that I am describing it, purchasing shares of Sundial near 77 cents and selling out of those shares at 88 cents, I could be potentially locking in a profit of almost 12%. And take a look at how this death cross, guys, ended up affecting Sundial in a very negative way. So this death cross unfolded back on July 7th, and after it unfolded, Sundial went down almost 20%. So this goes to show that not always, but sometimes a death cross ends up affecting in a very negative way the stock of any company. And what can we expect in terms of earnings? In the case of Sundial, not really much, guys. The only thing that we can hope for would be Sundial Grower having been able to burn less cash during the second quarter of this year relative to the first quarter of this year. But other than that, guys, this company is a burning machine, a money burning machine. So I don't have any high expectations when it comes to the earnings report that Sundial is going to post tomorrow after close. And with Sundial Growers, I am going to wrap up the video. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for hanging out with me once again. Remember and keep in mind, guys, that here on the Bilingual Stock Market channel, we are posting stock market update videos Mondays through Thursdays, 3 or 4 hours after the market closes. So if you want to get all of the notifications of all of our videos in a timely manner, you have to be subscribed to the channel, but you also need to activate the notification bell right up there. Follow us on Instagram as well, guys, at Bilingual Stock Market. On our Instagram account, we are posting news and information on a daily basis, and here and there, when the volatility of the markets lets me do it, I am making call-outs about the stocks that I am about to purchase throughout the trading session. So if you also want to have access to that information, go ahead and follow us on Instagram as well at Bilingual Stock Market. And remember that this is the Bilingual Stock Market channel, the YouTube channel in which we talk about the markets, but we do it in English and Spanish as well, so you can pick your preferred language. But most importantly, this is the YouTube channel in which we know that the wonderful world of Wall Street is not for geniuses, it is for entrepreneurs just like you guys and myself. My name is Alvaro, and I will see you guys tomorrow once again 3 or 4 hours after the market closes. Peace out.